what's up, my little mental patients? Maison Haffie here, aka Mental Health, saying, hey, how you doing? Okay, I just want to give everybody a little update, okay, of the last 5 months. I'm gonna backtrack, and it's not gonna be everything, but it's gonna be a lot. So here we go. About 5 months ago, I was living in a cool townhouse with my old roommate, and the lifestyle was very unhealthy. I was using Adderall, it was making me more bipolar. I really was addicted to Adderall, and it's something I have to stay off of. And now I've been honest with myself, and I've kicked everyone out of my life that uses it, and yada yada yada. But anyways, I was using Adderall, and my roommates were using Adderall, and then my roommate really was addicted to making money, while I was really addicted to using Adderall. So it was a really toxic combination, and yeah. So I was living in a place where, the people were toxic. I was being toxic because the environment was toxic, the people was toxic, and I was on Adderall, and that was toxic, and made me more bipolar, and everything was getting worse. And then my roommate started getting mad at me and yelling at me and getting pissed off and lying to me, and I started getting angry, and because they kept using drugs in my home, and I was like, and it was just so bad, and I ended up getting this job at Mystic Lake Casino. It turned out to be even worse on my mental health, and I was really hoping that it would have been the opportunity to, get things together and start, thriving a little bit more. But it really wasn't. It was not time yet. It was not what God had intended for me in my life. Anyways, my PTSD started getting extremely bad because of this job, which started to affect my roommate's PTSD. So they started getting mad and lying and doing this and that, until I finally just got so pissed off that I cleaned the entire house by throwing everything in garbage bags. I went through my crap, and I made, my roommate go through their crap, or they could just throw it away as well. But I put it in front of their door so they could deal with it. And it was a lot of crap. That was the day that they lied to me, told me they called the crisis team, tried to send me to the hospital for lashing out and freaking out because my environment was so bad for my mental health. My job sucked, and I was under so much pressure. But they ended up just lying to me. And then they called my mom to try to get their approval of me acting out or whatever. And my mom was just like, is he on drugs? And my roommate was like, on Adderall, but he's yada yada yada. And my mom's like, yeah, so of course he's freaking out. And that's my fault for using. But with that being said, I had to make some really important decisions, and to make sure my mental health got better before it could get worse. And the people I was around did not necessarily support those decisions. And, my biggest, issue with this was I was so afraid of disappointing the ones around me that I loved and cared for by, doing what was best for me, that I chose not to for far too long, to the point where I was starting to lash out. So I made some final decisions, and I quit my job at Mystic. And the day after, I became a verified artist on YouTube, which was really fun. And I sold a bunch of beats and made a bunch of money, so that was cool. But my old roomie got really mad, so they stole $590 from me, and lied and said it was about money I owed them. That it was actually, I didn't owe them any money. They told me I owed them nothing. Excuse me, they told me I owed them nothing because they were going on vacation and yada yada yada. It was just this whole ordeal, and I'll get into it more later in life. Silly. But I was like, whatever, fine, whatever. And then eventually they then took my key to our car. So I took our car and I put it in storage, and I didn't tell them where it was because don't try to screw me over. And it was annoying because, like, I went to go talk to them to get my key, and they gave me the house key, but then they looked at me and said, and I am being a little shady, and smirked after I asked, and I was like, whew, okay. So I called my mom to try to get my key back, and that failed miserably. And my old roommate decided to call the cops on my mom. Well, I called my mom down, and we left. And then we took the car. We brought it to Nissan. We got a new key. And then I put the key and the car in storage until my roommate would simply transfer the title over to me and do as I asked in the first place, because they were being very difficult. And by this time, I have already told them that I'm moving out, that we aren't going to be around each other anymore, that we're unhealthy for each other, we're toxic, yada, yada, yada. And things were starting to get really bad. But I sent them a really heartfelt email telling them everything I'm going to need from them to make this the smoothest transition possible. So they went out of their way to make it the hardest transition they possibly could, in every sense of the way, by stealing my money, by stealing my key to our car. So I had to throw a punch I didn't want to throw, and I told that son of a bee. and I brought it to Nissan, and I got the car key switched and changed, and then I put it in storage with the key. And I told my old roommate that unfortunately, you're gonna have to, you know, transfer over the title to your name if you don't want to, you know, switch the car out for a new car, one that is more affordable. And they didn't want to switch the car out to one that was more affordable. So I was like, okay, fine, do you, but you need to transfer over the title to just your name. And it was this huge ordeal. So they stole my computer equipment, and they lied to a bunch of people to convince other people of the situation of something that it wasn't. And then, my old roommate then also changed the lock on the door and switched it over and made it a different lock, so they locked me out. So I crawled in through my house window. I had to break into my apartment, my townhouse, for God's sakes. And lo and behold, one of her friends came down, and my computer equipment was missing. They tried to lock me out of my house. And I told that friend everything. And suddenly he was like, oh, and he seemed to have really nothing to say after I told him my side of my story, because, even if someone doesn't explain their side of the story to everyone, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So, I told him my side of the story, and then things changed a little. He kept trying to defend my old roommate in one way or another, but he started to understand. So anyways, the car and the key was in storage. My computer equipment was missing, and my roommate tried to lock me out of my own house, which was against our landlord's rules. Anyways, I had the maintenance man come check out the lock and then help me break into my old home. So I got in there, and then I talked to my friend, and he said it was safe. And though I'm not as angry at him because he chose to make the decisions that he did, one who's a fool who doesn't know they're a fool, are they a fool kind of ordeal. But the fact that he didn't choose to do the right thing after I told him the whole story is where I no longer want him in my life. Anyways, so the next day, so I called my mom, got this stuff figured out, called the cops, figured out a few things, yada, yada, yada. And I decided to accept it for what it was. And I would wait until the title was transferred over to her name entirely before I got my computer stuff, because I trusted my roommate's friend, truthfully, that it was safe. And it was, all the way up until we turned it on. And it turns out the computer screen was broken. Yeah, so of course my roommate's friend did the right thing and paid me back all of the money immediately, but my roommate acted like it was his fault. Like that's the thing. Like this woman, whatever, can never ever take responsibility for their wrongdoings. Damn near ever. This person has such an issue with pride, and has such a bad only child syndrome kind of complexity thing or whatever. Like, I loved this person, but now I despise them for everything they are. And, quite frankly, I should have a long time ago, because all of my old friends have expressed to me all the same things I feel about them today. But I chose to keep my rose-colored glasses on all the way up until about 8 years in. And yeah, so now anyways, my computer screen is broken. I got my computer stuff back, but then, I got paid back by my roommate's friend and a little bit by them, because I had to be like, so are you going to pay me back for this? Because it was their fault in the first place. But they can't ever take initiative for their wrongdoings, their faults, their insecurities. They lie. Now this is the crazy thing is, they then texted me when I confronted them about the door handle and told me that I didn't change the door handle. They didn't change the door handle. I had pictures of it, and the maintenance man saw. So they were intentionally gaslighting me for unknown reasons. But I found it amusing, because the entirety of what I'm leaving was because they were unhealthy, toxic. I was unhealthy and toxic. And together we were very unhealthy and toxic. I didn't enjoy the environment. And altogether, I thought they were a narcissistic gaslighter and acting very narcissistic. And don't get me wrong, we all have bad qualities, but I'm trying to be my best self and improve who I am as a person and individual and better myself every day so I can do what's best for the world and myself. This person is not. They pretend they are. They latch onto everything I do and everything I did. Anyways, it was annoying, and at the end of the day, I learned that they were truly going out of their way to make it the hardest transition they possibly could, while I was intentionally trying to make it the smoothest transition I could. They did everything in their power they could possibly do to make me mad and piss me off and make me angry, and it worked very well, but I kept my cool by the end of it. And at the end of the day, I finally moved out into my new apartment. I cleaned up. I did my best to stay on my best behavior, and I did a wonderful job. And now my life is feeling good, and I am feeling great. And I will update you guys more later, because on the day I finally moved into my new place, I got into my first ever car accident. And it was my fault. So, thanks for watching, and don't forget to take your medication. Okay, bye guys.